You know that feeling when you're standing at the edge of your own life, suitcase in hand, ready to walk away from everything. That was me 3 months ago, tears streaming down my face, convinced my billionaire husband saw me as nothing more than his charity case. But then I heard him say my name through that door, and what came next changed everything. If you've ever felt like you don't belong somewhere, like you're fighting battles nobody sees, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button and settle in, because what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about love, family, and the prices we pay for acceptance. My name doesn't matter, but my story does. I grew up in a neighborhood where gunshots were alarm clocks and dreams were luxuries we couldn't afford. My mama cleaned houses for women who wouldn't even look her in the eye, and I swore I'd never bow my head to anyone. Funny how life tests your promises to yourself. I was 24, working at the Rosewood Country Club, balancing trays and biting my tongue, while rich folks treated me like furniture. That's where I first saw the Montgomery family. Old money so ancient, it probably remembered when dirt was young. They were regulars at table 7, and Lord knows they were the worst. Mrs. Montgomery would snap her fingers at servers like we were dogs. Her daughter Adelaide would accidentally knock things over just to watch us scramble. And her son, well, I hadn't met him yet. The night everything changed started like any other disaster. I was carrying a tray of vintage wine, the kind that cost more than my rent, when Adelaide stuck her foot out. I saw it happening in slow motion. The tray tilting, the glasses sliding, and then crash. Red wine everywhere, including all over the man who'd just walked in. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," I gasped, grabbing napkins, my hands shaking because I knew I'd be fired. This job was keeping my little sister in college. "Adelaide, that was deliberate," the man said, and his voice was different from theirs. Tired, disappointed. "Apologize to her, now." I looked up then, really looked at him. He was beautiful, in that devastating way that makes you forget your own name. But it was his eyes that caught me. They looked as exhausted as mine felt. "She's just the help," Adelaide laughed. "Besides, it was an accident." "Then accidentally apologize," he said, still looking at me. "Or I'll accidentally forget to sign those documents Dad left for you." That was my first real introduction to him, the black sheep billionaire who actually had a conscience. He insisted on getting me a new uniform, tipped enough to cover my rent for 3 months, and asked for my name like it mattered. We started meeting in secret. Not because he was ashamed, God, I learned later how wrong I was about that, but because he said his family was poison and he wanted to keep me safe from them as long as possible. For 6 months, I lived a double life. Days serving people who looked through me, nights with a man who saw nothing but me. He'd show up at my apartment with Chinese food and eat it straight from the box while sitting on my thrift store couch. He helped my sister with her business homework. He fixed my mama's car when it broke down, with his own hands, designer suit and all. I fell in love with him in a million small moments before I even realized I was falling. The night he proposed, his mother had followed him. She showed up at my door the next morning with a check and a threat. $5 million, she said, placing it on my kitchen table like she was dealing cards. "Take it and disappear, or stay, and I'll make sure your sister loses her scholarship, your mother loses her job, and you lose everything you've ever cared about. My son is going through a rebellious phase. Don't mistake it for love." I tore up the check in her face. Maybe that was my first mistake. Or maybe it was the moment I declared war without realizing it. We got married anyway. Small ceremony, just my family and a few of his friends. His family didn't come, but they sent a gift. A newspaper announcement about his ex-girlfriend's return from Switzerland. The games had begun. Moving into his world was like being dropped on an alien planet where I didn't speak the language and the air was too thin to breathe. The house was a museum, cold and perfect, and I was the one thing that didn't belong. His mother had keys. She'd come over when he was at work, rearranging things, leaving little notes about proper placement, and aesthetic harmony. She hired a woman to teach me etiquette, announcing loudly at a family dinner that even dogs can be trained with enough patience. The family dinners were the worst kind of torture. They'd serve me last, on different china. "Oh, we thought you'd be more comfortable with the everyday dishes, dear." They'd speak French when I was there, switching to English only to ask if I needed anything from the kitchen, like I was the maid. His sister would tell stories about his ex, right in front of me, about their trips to Paris, their shared friends, how perfectly she fit in. I tried to tell him, but how do you explain drowning to someone who's never struggled to swim? He was used to their coldness, he'd grown up in it. He thought I was being too sensitive, that I needed time to adjust. He didn't see how they waited until his back was turned to twist the knife. The anniversary party was when I started breaking. It was supposed to be our celebration, 1 year married. His mother turned it into a reunion, inviting his ex, introducing her as the one who got away, while I stood right there in a dress I'd saved for months to buy. They sat her next to him at dinner. They played their song. His mother gave a toast about second chances while looking directly at her. I found my wedding photos removed from the family wall, replaced with pictures from some charity gala where his ex was his date years ago. When I asked about it, Adelaide said, "Oh, we're doing renovations. Some things just don't match the aesthetic anymore." That night, I heard him laughing with his friends in his study. One of them made a joke about how at least he'd gotten the diversity hire out of his system. I waited for him to defend me. He just kept laughing. That laugh broke something in me that I didn't know could break. The charity gala was my final humiliation. His mother had promised to handle my invitation. When we arrived, my name wasn't on the list. "Oh dear," she said loudly. "They must have thought you were the help. Well, you could always work the event if you want to stay." She actually had a uniform ready. My husband said nothing. I wore that uniform. I served drinks at my own husband's table, while his ex sat in my seat, wearing the same designer dress he'd bought me, except hers fit perfectly because his mother had given her my measurements. I heard Adelaide tell someone I was the marriage his accountant recommended for tax breaks. The breaking point came when I found papers in his study, divorce documents, already partially filled out. The date was from before our anniversary. There were text messages printed out too, between him and his ex, planning to meet, calling me a mistake he needed to fix. I was done, so quietly done that the silence in my chest felt like death. I started recording everything after that. Every cruel comment, every subtle dig, every moment they tried to erase me. I wasn't going to leave empty-handed. I wasn't going to let them win without knowing I knew exactly who they were. My sister helped me find a lawyer. My cousin knew someone who specialized in hostile family situations. I packed slowly, carefully, taking only what I'd brought into the marriage. My grandmother's ring, the Bible my daddy gave me, photos of my family. I didn't want anything he'd given me. It was all poisoned. The day I planned to leave, there was an emergency board meeting at the house. The family descended like vultures, earlier than expected. I was upstairs, suitcase ready, when I heard them gathering in the study below. I should have left then, but I heard my name, and something made me stop. Finally got rid of that ghetto trash. His mother's voice was triumphant. The divorce papers worked perfectly. She's been packing for days. The ex-girlfriend act was brilliant. Adelaide laughed. She really believed he was cheating. All those texts we fabricated looked so real. His brother added, "Technology is wonderful." My blood went cold, then hot, then cold again. Enough. My husband's voice cut through their celebration like a blade. "Are you satisfied? You've destroyed my marriage. You've broken the only real thing I've ever had. Don't be dramatic." His mother said. She was never good enough. Good enough? His laugh was bitter, broken. She was everything. She was the only person who ever loved me without wanting something in return. And you couldn't stand it, could you? Couldn't stand that I chose someone who didn't care about the money, the name, the connections. She was a gold digger. She tore up a $5 million check in your face. He was shouting now. She works 12-hour shifts, even though I beg her to quit because she refuses to be what you call her. She sends half of everything I give her to her family. She made me get a prenup to protect my assets because she never wanted anyone to question her motives. And you broke her. Day by day, cut by cut, you broke the strongest woman I've ever known. There was silence, then papers rustling. What is this? His mother's voice was different now, afraid. Evidence, he said. 3 years of evidence. Every racist comment recorded. Every cruel act documented. The money you've been embezzling from the foundation. The bribes, the tax fraud, all of it. You wouldn't dare. I've already filed the reports. The FBI has copies of everything. My wife, yes, my wife, doesn't know this, but I've been building this case since the day you tried to buy her off. You want to know the truth about those divorce papers? They're fake. I had them made to see how far you'd go. The ex-girlfriend? She's a private investigator I hired. Those texts you fabricated? We have the originals proving your tampering. My legs gave out. I sat on the floor, shaking. The house is in her name, he continued. Has been for 6 months. The company shares, transferred to a trust in her name. The foundation. She's the sole director now. Every time you humiliated her, I moved another asset. Every cruel word cost you millions. And the prenup you love mocking. It doesn't protect me. It protects her. From all of you. You can't. I'm done being your son. I'm done watching you torture the woman I love. Security is outside. You have 10 minutes to leave. If you ever come near my wife again, I'll release everything. Not just to the authorities, to the media. Every single thing. I stood up, opened the door, and walked down those stairs one last time, my head high, my grandmother's ring catching the light. The room froze when they saw me. "Hello, family," I said, my voice steady as stone. "I believe you have something of mine to return, my dignity, but since you've spent 3 years trying to steal it, I'll just take everything else instead." His mother's face was white, her perfect composure finally cracked. Adelaide was crying, mascara running down her cheeks. The brother was on his phone, probably calling lawyers. My husband looked at me, and for the first time in months, I really saw him. The exhaustion wasn't from work. The distance wasn't rejection. He'd been fighting a war I didn't even know was happening, protecting me the only way he knew how, by letting them think they were winning while he dismantled them, piece by piece. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have told you. You should have trusted me to fight beside you," I said. "But we'll deal with that after they leave." They are leaving now. Security entered. His family was escorted out. His mother screaming about lawsuits. His sister sobbing about social ruin. Within an hour, they were gone. Within a week, the news broke. Within a month, his mother was indicted. The empire built on cruelty came crashing down. We sat in our empty house that night, really talking for the first time in years. He showed me everything. The recordings he'd made, the assets he'd protected, the case he'd built. He'd been working 18-hour days, not to avoid me, but to protect me. Every distance I'd felt was him trying to keep their poison from touching me more than it already had. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Because you would have stayed and fought, and they would have destroyed you. They've had decades of practice being cruel. You have too much good in you to fight the way they fight. So you fought alone. I fought for us. The way you fought for us every time you got up and faced them again. Every time you didn't let them see you cry. Every time you chose to stay when anyone else would have run. We rebuilt after that. Not the marriage we'd had. That was broken beyond repair. But something new. Something stronger. The family lost everything. The company. The reputation. The social standing they'd killed souls to maintain. And me? I got something better than revenge. I got the truth. His mother tried to reconcile once, showing up with tears and apologies. I looked her in the eye and said, I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean access. You taught me that when you locked me out of your family. Now I'm returning the lesson. We moved away eventually. Smaller house, warmer walls, no ghosts. My family comes over whenever they want. My sister graduated debt-free. My mama retired early. And my